Pad 0A along the eastern shore of Virginia. Corporation's Antares rocket on Launch Pad 0A along the eastern shore of Virginia at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility. The overall complex is part of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport. The clocks are counting down to the launch of this cargo vehicle named the C. Gordon Fullerton Cygnus spacecraft, which resides inside a protective fairing atop the 130-foot tall rocket as the countdown is proceeding smoothly with red for the launch, which is scheduled to occur just a little more than 21 minutes from now. The official targeted launch time is 1:07 and 5 seconds Eastern Standard Time, and all has gone very smoothly throughout the countdown, which began shortly before 5 a.m. This morning Eastern Time, as a team of flight controllers located at the Range Control Center there at the Wallops Island, Virginia facility, has been monitoring all of the systems relative to the rocket itself and the spacecraft.
Receiving cone 4 with nominal AGCs.
All of the routine countdown procedures have gone very smoothly. There have been a number of polls throughout the morning that set the stage for the loading of fuel aboard the rocket, and all of that has also gone very smoothly. So the teams are essentially just awaiting the final word on the range. There have been a couple of issues. Some people are in the launch range area that they're attempting to clear that area as well. There was another issue that also cropped up, similar to what occurred with a recent launch of the Antares as well, known as distant focusing overpressure. Essentially, it has to do with atmospheric conditions relative to the unlikely event of a failure of a rocket shortly after launch. It's an overpressure event that could break windows in some of the buildings associated with the launch range area. So all of that is the last items to be followed, but the countdown is going to continue all the way down at least until the poll at the 12-minute mark, which would occur about 12:55 this afternoon Eastern for the final countdown. That would set the stage for the last 12 minutes of the countdown leading up to launch.
Arm indication telemetry.
FTS arm indication.
24 and FSO verify FTS arm indication.
You'll be hearing a number of calls made throughout the remainder of the countdown here on NASA television from the Range Control Center. As you can hear, the flight controllers, Launch Control Center there at the Range Control Center are continuing as per the timeline leading to the scheduled launch.
Provide status of upper level winds.
LC, GNC-1, upper level winds are go for launch.
Roger that. Upper level winds are reported go for launch. We'll check 328 complete.
And you just heard that upper level wind potential issue that appears to have been cleared now as the countdown proceeds smoothly.
Roger that. Site control, LC.
LC, site control.
Yeah, we'll request for an additional recharge of the tail at this time.
Okay, copy that. Charge in work.
Copy and work.
The launch today itself actually serves as the first in a series of rendezvous maneuvers that will allow the Cygnus spacecraft, which is delivering almost 3,000 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station, to arrive at the station on Sunday morning in the early hours. The basically 3-day rendezvous approach is a stair-step approach to slowly raise the Cygnus's orbit up to that of the International Space Station, matching it for the actual capture and berthing of Cygnus to the station's Harmony module, the docking port of choice, that Harmony module port that faces the Earth, the nadir port. Cygnus, this Antares rocket with Cygnus has made a couple of trips to the launch pad. Obviously, back in December, the launch originally was targeted, and the pump module issue on the space station deferred the launch until January, so that the station crew members on board could remove and replace that suspect pump module. That, of course, all went smoothly in December, and set the stage to reschedule the launch for early January. And of course, yesterday, the launch was postponed until today to allow for some a phenomenon of a solar flare that occurred just as a precaution to make sure that it didn't interfere with any of the electronics on the rocket itself, the Antares launch vehicle. Cygnus, there was never an issue with the Cygnus spacecraft itself.
CMD, LC, countdown 1.
LC, this is CMD on countdown 1. Go ahead.
And CMD, step 329, you go to transfer Cygnus to internal power and report when complete.
Copy that, in work.
And you're hearing the call now that the Cygnus spacecraft, which weighs about a little more than 10,000 pounds, about 4,600 kilograms, including the 2,765 pounds of cargo to be delivered to the station. It's now being transferred to its own internal power from that of the ground. That coming here at the 15-minute mark until launch. Again, the launch is scheduled for 1:07 p.m. Eastern Time.
LC, TD, we are green for DFO.
Roger that, TD. Range is green for DFO.
That call is the range that was read earlier for what's known as distant focusing overpressure, or DFO. That was one item that remained to be cleared. So the countdown is proceeding smoothly. The weather has cooperated very nicely, as you see from the launch site. A beautiful day on the eastern shore of Virginia.
3:30. And CMD, I'll wait for your call back on successful transfer of Cygnus to internal power.
LC, this is CMD on countdown 1.
Go ahead, CMD.
Yeah, Cygnus is on internal power and nominal, ready for launch.
Roger that, CMD. We'll check 329 complete.
And as you heard, Cygnus now is on internal power. So that transition from ground to internal power went very smoothly. Cygnus is about 16 feet in diameter. This will actually be the third launch of the Antares rocket associated with the International Space Station program. The first launch was a test flight with a mass simulator that basically simulated the Cygnus spacecraft to demonstrate the operation of the Antares rocket itself. That was followed last September by the demonstration flight that actually did fly all the way to the space station with some payload as part of the Commercial Orbital Transportation System, or COTS, program of the International Space Station. And this flight, known as Orbital 1, signifies the first operational flight with a full payload aboard the Cygnus spacecraft. Again, a mass of about 2,800 pounds of payload to be delivered to the International Space Station. A number of experiments on board the station,
I would like to
aboard the Cygnus, headed to the station.
MES-1.
MES-1 is go.
1 is go. GCE.
GCE is go.
GCE, go. ACE.
ACE, go.
ACE, go. GSO.
GSO is go.
GSO, go. RSO.
RSO is go.
RSO, go. TD.
TD's go.
TD, go. Mars.
Mars is go.
Mars, go. CMD.
CMD is go.
CMD, go. LD.
LD is go.
LD, go. Orbital.
Orbital is go.
Orbital, go. Launch team is go to proceed with final countdown and medium flow chill down. Check step 331. Site control, LC. Arm tel for rapid retract.
KLC site control, copy.
And so you just heard the final poll, all go for launch. Approaching 11 minutes and counting to the launch of the Antares rocket, delivering the Cygnus spacecraft on a 3-day path to the International Space Station. At the time of launch, the space station will be out over the Atlantic Ocean, just to the east of Brazil, near the equator.
10 minutes.
On board the International Space Station, a crew of 6 makes up the Expedition 38 crew, and they do have the ability to watch the launch of Cygnus. They are greatly anticipating the first of about 8 cargo vehicle deliveries to the station this year. This will mark the 144th station flight or rocket launch to the International Space Station in support of the program that began with the first element launch back in November of 1998.
Roger that. Check 335. And site control status on arming of TEL.
NLC site control arming still in work.
Roger that.
You hear reference to TEL. That's an acronym for Transporter Erector Launcher. That's essentially the piece of equipment on which the rocket stands currently that transports the rocket to the launch pad from a horizontal integration facility in a horizontal position, and then transports it or erects it vertically.
VDMs.
LC Ops 1, Stage 1 controller VDMs enabled.
Inside 9 minutes to launch.
ACS VDMs internal power on.
Roger that. Copy that. We'll check 336. And TEL, can you confirm TEL armed for rapid retract?
LC TEL is armed for rapid retract.
Roger that. Check 332. Check 333. And Electrical 1, verifying telemetry Stage 1 and ACS VDMs are enabled, and verify VDM voltages.
LC Elect 1, Stage 1 controller and ACS VDMs enabled. VDM voltages are nominal.
Roger, check 337.
The entire international partnership obviously anticipating the launch and delivery of Cygnus to the space station, as well as the team there at the Range Control Center and at Orbital